Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our afternoon edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. We are in day 14. There's still talk about Nicole Anthony having a house meeting to blow up Janelle and Kaysar. That is the oh joy drama. It is also the, if there was like something nearby that I could just like pound my head on in frustration, that would also be indicative of this.
It's really frustrating. It's beyond frustrating.
It is that sort of week. It will get worse before it gets better, but we'll talk about that. Janelle and Nicole Anthony had a very, very brief conversation. We'll get into that, possible mistakes that Janelle may have made, and a whole lot more. But before we get into it, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything else. And if you want to support us more, just check those links to the store and also our Patreon, where we have live chats, a lot of other cool stuff over there. Thank you to everyone who has signed up so far.
Also, just in case you guys do happen to hear our portable AC, our AC is still out. It has been out for like 5 weeks now. We have a little portable in the corner, so if you hear that, let us know. We'll try to figure something out with that.
Yeah, well, it's all a work in progress. We listened to this in advance. We didn't think we could hear it that much, but, you know, we'll get your guys' feedback on it.
Okay, so yeah, Janelle and Nicole A did have a brief conversation, but Nicole A is just really shut down. Like, her body language was really like she is shut down from Janelle.
It feels like it's either we know that she's upset, and
Yeah.
I think it sort of comes across like she doesn't really want to open up to Janelle, that she really doesn't want to spend time to Janelle, and I don't know if Janelle is picking up fully on this body language. This conversation just happened right before we came on to record, but if I was Janelle, and I'm not saying I am, Captain Perceptive, King of Understanding everyone's human behavior all the time or anything, but I feel
You're
like...
not?
Yeah, I know. Breaking news, everyone. I don't actually read body language perfectly all the time, but I would at least know this, because this felt obvious to me that I would start to be a little bit concerned if I was Janelle.
Yeah, and I mean, Janelle's already been a tiny bit concerned. She has said that she needs Nicole Anthony to stop running her mouth about everything she tells her. So she knows some stuff is up. It's just, for the longest time, Janelle and Kaysar really haven't had any other options. But now some other options are opening up, like possibly bailing Davon. It seems like something really could be growing there.
This is the thing with Janelle, and we have been effusive in our praise for loving Janelle as entertainment, and Janelle and Kaysar are fun to watch and all of that, but as frustrated as we must be with Nicole Anthony, and if you guys are like us, you're very frustrated, there is something that Janelle could have done much better that I don't think we've talked about enough, and you brought it up several days ago.
Yeah, I think that one of Janelle's biggest mistakes in everything that happened with Nicole Anthony and the downfall of this, besides the Kevin stuff, which we have spoken about, and I think Kevin in her ear is definitely a problem. But when Memphis won, Janelle went up there and sat there with him for a long time and drank wine. Nobody knew what they were talking about. It made Memphis's whole alliance really nervous, but it also, I think, made Nicole Anthony very nervous, because that's sort of where she started to form this idea that Janelle is working with Memphis and this whole big side of the house and all this stuff that's happening, when that's not really the case. And she was up there mentioning about Nicole Anthony, that she's, a good person to keep around, stuff like that. So I think that might be playing part of it.
Like, I get that part of Nicole Anthony's paranoia, if that is running through her head, and if the preconceived notion is that Memphis and Janelle might be close, then of course you're probably going to on some level think, okay, this might be Janelle's handiwork, but I think Nicole Anthony's just not seeing that bigger picture. And that is just what can be so infuriating about all of this, when you have a conversation like she had earlier today with Christmas, where, kind of like we talked about earlier with the fact-finding mission with Nicole Anthony and Davon, she goes to Christmas, they have a conversation, she asks Christmas if Janelle and Kaysar have sort of had conversations with her about trying to save her, and Christmas is like, yeah, this kind of happened, And yet Nicole Anthony is still like, well, Janelle and Kaysar, they're my targets. They don't really want me. I'm going to show you guys if I win head of household.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing with this. I don't know if she's trying to just make sure that this other side knows that if Janelle and Kaysar are trying to fight for her, that she's not part of this. Like, take her out of the equation. She doesn't want to be part of it. And I don't really get where she's going with this, because the house is not as divided as she thinks it is. And maybe that is the problem. It's not everybody against Janelle and Kaysar anymore. That has shifted. The thing that I'm actually really worried about is that Nicole Anthony is going to have this house meeting. And as much as I joke around like, yes, drama coming up or whatever, this could be really bad, because Janelle is Janelle. She is not going to just sit there and take this from Nicole Anthony, especially if it's lies. It's going to get real ugly, and Janelle's going to stand up for herself in a big, big way, and it's not going to be great for anybody.
I think if we use a word to describe Janelle's game in Big Brother, it is probably not restraint. This is the woman who yelled, "Give me the key, insert you know what here." It is going to be contentious, and honestly, this is my gut feeling on it. I don't think we're going to need the house meeting, because I feel like Janelle is going to learn something about all of this, about what Nicole is doing between now and Thursday. 2 days is a long time for people to stay quiet about something in Big Brother. Information spreads.
For sure. And I mean, I just worry that, Nicole Anthony's looking to find a way to go out in a really big way. That if she's like, oh man, I'm going to be second out, I got to go out with a bang. Blaze of glory right out the door.
This is going to be a blaze of something by the end of all of this. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be, but that is all still kind of brewing and bubbling underneath the surface. But let's get over to David, our other nominee, who I think mostly we don't end up talking as much about David's campaign, because Nicole Anthony's campaign has just been such a dumpster fire that it's hard to really even pay attention to him.
Yeah, and I mean, he is, working with Tyler somewhat, and they are talking about stuff. I mean, I just think he's in a good spot. And if Nicole Anthony keeps doing what she's doing, he's going to be in an even better spot.
There's just not that much that I think David really has to do here, because he's going to have the guy support. He's got Tyler and Enzo and Cody. Like, those three are pretty locked in at this point.
They're bro-y.
They're all very, very bro-y. There could be some ridiculous named alliance for those four bros before too long. But then you just add to those people others like a Christmas, like a Nicole F. It feels like it's a situation where there's almost just like 6 votes for David that are almost guaranteed on the spot. He doesn't need to do all that much, so long as nothing really, really crazy swings. And I know that there's been all these pushes to get Davon and Bailey over on the side to keep Nicole Anthony, but I don't see that happening right now.
No, I don't see it happening either. And if Nicole Anthony really does go through with this house meeting, nobody's going to really want to deal with her, because then it's like, okay, well, she's playing in a way that she's sort of having this big explosion house meeting. They typically don't go that well. She's putting a bigger target on herself. It's going to make more people want to back away. I don't think it's a great idea, but we'll see.
I think one of the things I'm interested to hear from you guys is, what do you actually think is the better move for Davon and Bailey to do? Because it is sort of Nicole Anthony is someone who could work with them theoretically for a little while, but Kevin's clearly her number one, so she's never going to treat them as a number one. And David, I don't really know what David's number one is. I think he does want to work with Davon and Bailey, but he's got Tyler and the bros, and like there's an allegiance there as well.
Yeah, it's hard to really know where David is really gonna land, because he just isn't really anywhere. Yeah, he likes the bros, but he kind of just likes everybody.
And the only thing I kind of know is that David, if he wins HOH...
Except Memphis.
Yeah, David is gunning for Memphis. He's made that clear again today. And that, David, if you stay, win the HOH. Give us the popcorn because I really hope David. This is my dream. Let's get the fan fiction pencil out here for a second. David wins. If David stays and he wins HOH, he's got to say to Memphis, looks like I'm the big boy now, buddy.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. You pull up your chair there, buddy.
Yeah, he's got to make sure he says the word buddy at least like 2 times.
For sure.
That could just be fun and chaotic, so that could be an interesting scenario. And Tyler's also made it clear. Tyler just wanted to vent at David, I think, today.
Yep.
He was just like, by the way, I feel like there's a billion alliances going on.
Because there is.
Yeah, and it's more like the cracks in this like blob alliance around Danny. That's the really interesting thing because there's so many people who are just starting to have distrust in Danny at this point.
I feel like there's a lot of people just having distrust in that group in general. It seems to be sort of breaking off into 2s and 3s and just much smaller groups where they're all still like, yeah, we're working together, but not really.
Do we have to get to my disappointment when it comes to Ian now?
Yes, let's talk about Ian.
Okay, so yesterday we went so far as to ask you guys for great alliance names for Ian and Kaysar.
And you guys came up with some good ones.
You guys had a lot of them, and now I have to sort of, take a page from your book and pour cold water on it now because it's like Ian has already told Nicole F about his conversations with Kaysar, so this is not a dream 2-person secret alliance that I probably wanted it to be.
No, but at the same time, it could be. I know Nicole F is working with other people, and Ian's may or may not be actually her number one. She has said it's other people, but I think that depending on what happens in the game, she could still just stick it out with Ian. But if Janelle is gone and Kaysar is a free agent, depending on what the game looks like at that point, telling Nicole F this information, if she just keeps it to herself, this could work very well for Ian.
It's a risky proposition because there's like 2 schools of thought. It's either Nicole F is going to look at this and be like, I don't want anybody taking Ian away from me, so maybe I'm going to target Kaysar more, but I think she's got bigger fish to fry now.
I just don't think she's going to be really that worried about Kaysar. I think in general, it's just that idea of let's have another number.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think she's going to take out Kaysar before Janelle based on everything we've seen with Nicole F versus Janelle.
Yeah, no way.
I think ultimately, Ian does still want to work with Kaysar. I don't think he's trying to just put him up on the block and get rid of him right away.
No, I don't think he's sharing that information for any other reason except that he wants to loop in Nicole F. He wants to get a feel for what she's thinking about it and see if this is something that they could do together. And she didn't really give that much feedback back. So, I mean, it's not, I don't think she's turning it away, but, I don't know really where she stands with it yet.
Yeah, and
she may be waiting for the game to go on a little more, too.
Probably, and I think Nicole F in general just kind of has to keep some things on the down low with Ian at this point because there's already all this swirling stuff of Nicole F and Ian, they're working together, and I think if she goes to people and is like, well, Ian is telling me this information, then it's like, oh, you're having conversations with Ian again, are you?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll wrap up this edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers, but what do you guys want to see happen the rest of the day? Let us know in the comments, and if you did like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further, check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.